Imagine a place where ancient rainforests breathe beneath a blanket of mist, where the call to prayer echoes across cities that never sleep, and where the scent of street food mingles with salt air from two different seas. This is Malaysia, a nation that exists in beautiful contradiction, a bridge between worlds, between eras, between earth and sky. Fact 1. Malaysia sits at the heart of Southeast Asia, straddling the equator like a jewel split in two. Peninsula Malaysia extends from the Asian mainland, while East Malaysia sprawls across the northern coast of Borneo, separated by 400 miles of the South China Sea. Together, these two halves form a country of remarkable diversity, covering roughly 330,000 square kilometers, about the size of New Mexico, or slightly larger than the British Isles. Fact 2. The story of Malaysia's land begins 130 million years ago, when some of the world's oldest rainforests took root. These primeval jungles have witnessed the rise and fall of countless species, weathered ice ages and volcanic eruptions, and today they still stand as Earth's original cathedrals. Walking through Taman Negara, one of Malaysia's protected forests, is like stepping into a time machine. The canopy overhead has barely changed since the dinosaurs disappeared. Fact 3. Within these ancient forests lives one of the rarest and most majestic flowers on Earth, Rafflesia. This parasitic bloom can grow up to 3 feet wide and weigh up to 15 pounds, making it the largest single flower in the world. But encountering one requires patience and luck. Each Rafflesia blooms for only 5 to 7 days before withering away. The local indigenous people call it Bunga Pakma, and despite its beauty, it emits a scent of rotting flesh to attract pollinating flies, earning it the nickname corpse flower. Fact 2. Malaysia's jungles aren't just home to unusual plants, they shelter creatures that seem plucked from mythology. The Malayan tiger prowls these forests, its stripes blending with shadows and sunlight. Fewer than 150 remain in the wild, making every paw print sacred. High in the canopy, orangutans swing through the branches of Borneo's forests, their name literally meaning person of the forest in Malay. Fact 3. The nation's name itself tells a story of linguistic mystery. Malaysia likely derives from the Sanskrit word Malaya or Malayadvipa, meaning mountain land or land of mountains. Ancient Indian traders used this term when sailing to the peninsula, where mountain ranges rise like the spine of a sleeping dragon. Fact 4. That geography has shaped one of the world's most vital waterways. The Strait of Malacca, running along Malaysia's western coast, is only 1.5 miles wide at its narrowest point, yet it carries roughly 25% of the world's traded goods. Oil tankers, container ships, and fishing boats navigate these waters where pirates once ruled. Fact 5. Geography blessed Malaysia with another extraordinary feature, the Petronas Twin Towers in Kuala Lumpur, which held the title of world's tallest buildings from 1998 to 2004. Standing at 452 meters, these gleaming spires were built by two different construction companies in a friendly competition, connected by a sky bridge designed to slide and accommodate the tower's gentle swaying in the wind. Fact 6. The capital city itself, Kuala Lumpur, owes its existence to tin and mud. The name literally means muddy confluence in Malay, referring to the spot where the Gombak and Klang rivers meet. In 1857, Chinese tin miners established a settlement here, wading through swampy terrain in search of the metal that would fuel the Industrial Revolution. Fact 7. Malaysia is home to the oldest kingdom in Southeast Asia, still ruled by its original royal house, the Sultanate of Kedah, established in 1136 AD. For nearly 900 years, sultans have reigned in an unbroken line, their authority enduring through colonialism, occupation, and independence. Fact 8. Malaysia remains one of the few elective monarchies on Earth, where 9 hereditary state rulers take turns serving as Yang di-Pertuan Agong, the Supreme King, for 5-year terms. It's a system that honors both tradition and equality, where royal bloodlines share power in careful rotation. Fact 9. The country sits at the crossroads of 2 seas, the South China Sea to the east and the Andaman Sea and Strait of Malacca to the west. This strategic position has made Malaysia a trading hub for over 2,000 years, with merchants from Arabia, China, India, and Europe all seeking passage through its waters. Fact 10. Malaysia is one of only 17 megadiverse countries on Earth, harboring roughly 20% of the world's animal species despite covering only 0.2% of the world's land area. In a single hectare of Malaysian rainforest, you might find more tree species than exist in all of North America, a density of life that makes these jungles among the most biodiverse places on the planet. As the sun rises over Malaysia, it illuminates a tapestry of cultures that have woven themselves into the very fabric of this nation. The morning light catches on golden temple domes, reflects off mosque minarets, and filters through the incense smoke of Chinese shrines. This is a land where diversity isn't just celebrated, it's the foundation of everything. Fact 11. Malaysia is one of the most multicultural nations on Earth, with Malays comprising about 69% of the population, Chinese Malaysians around 23%, and Indian Malaysians roughly 7%. But these numbers tell only part of the story. Within these groups exist countless subcultures, dialects, and traditions, Hokkien-speaking traders in Penang, Tamil-speaking rubber tappers in the south, and indigenous Orang Asli communities who were here before recorded history began. Fact 12. The official religion is Islam, practiced by about 61% of the population, making Malaysia one of the more moderate Muslim-majority nations. Yet the Constitution guarantees freedom of religion, and on any given street, you might find a mosque, a Buddhist temple, a Hindu shrine, and a Christian church within blocks of each other. During religious festivals, it's common for Malaysians of all faiths to visit each other's homes, sharing food and celebration regardless of their own beliefs. Fact 13. This diversity extends to language in remarkable ways. While Bahasa Malaysia is the official language, English is widely spoken, especially in business and education. But venture into neighborhoods and markets, and you'll hear Mandarin, Tamil, Cantonese, Hokkien, and dozens of indigenous languages. Many Malaysians effortlessly switch between 3 or 4 languages in a single conversation, a linguistic dance called code switching that reflects the nation's multicultural soul. Fact 14. Malaysia's food culture is perhaps the most delicious expression of this diversity. Nasi lemak, considered the national dish, consists of fragrant rice cooked in coconut milk, served with sambal, anchovies, peanuts, and egg. It's eaten for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, from 5-star hotels to roadside stalls. But the genius of Malaysian cuisine lies in its fusion. Chinese cooking techniques blend with Indian spices and Malay ingredients to create entirely new dishes like char kway teow, roti canai, and laksa, each with regional variations that spark friendly debates about which version is most authentic. Fact 15. The country celebrates more public holidays than almost anywhere else on Earth, with different states observing different festivals based on their demographics. Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, Deepavali, Christmas, and Wesak Day are all national celebrations. During these times, open houses are a cherished tradition. Families open their homes to friends and neighbors of all backgrounds, offering food and hospitality. It's not uncommon for a Chinese family to attend a Malay friend's Hari Raya celebration, or for Muslims to join in Chinese New Year festivities. Fact 16. Malaysia gained independence from British colonial rule on August 31, 1957, in a transition that was remarkably peaceful compared to other decolonization movements. Tunku Abdul Rahman, the nation's first prime minister, announced Merdeka, meaning freedom or independence, 7 times at midnight in Kuala Lumpur's Stadium Merdeka. That moment marked the birth of a new nation, though it would expand in 1963 when Sabah, Sarawak, and briefly Singapore joined the Federation. Fact 17. The Malaysian flag, called Jalur Gemilang or Stripes of Glory, contains 14 red and white stripes representing the 13 states and the federal territories. The blue canton features a 14-pointed star and crescent moon in yellow. The star, called Bintang Persekutuan, symbolizes the unity between these regions, while the crescent represents Islam. The colors, red, white, blue, and yellow, echo both the British Union Jack and the traditional Malay colors, a visual bridge between past and present. Fact 18. Despite being a relatively young nation, Malaysia has transformed itself into one of Southeast Asia's most prosperous countries. In 1970, nearly half the population lived in poverty. Today, that figure has dropped to less than 5%, a remarkable achievement driven by industrialization, education, and natural resource management. The country has successfully transitioned from an economy based primarily on raw materials like rubber and tin to one centered on electronics, petroleum, and palm oil. Fact 19. Speaking of palm oil, Malaysia is the world's second largest producer, accounting for about 26% of global production. The oil palm, originally from West Africa, thrives in Malaysia's tropical climate. Its fruit yields an oil used in everything from cooking and cosmetics to biofuels. However, this success comes with environmental costs. Palm oil plantations have replaced millions of hectares of rainforest, creating ongoing tension between economic development and conservation that Malaysia continues to navigate. Fact 20. In the heart of Borneo, Malaysia protects one of the most important conservation sites on Earth, the Kinabatangan River Basin. This floodplain is home to 10 primate species, including the proboscis monkey, found nowhere else on Earth. Male proboscis monkeys develop massive, pendulous noses that can grow up to 7 inches long. Scientists believe these extraordinary noses amplify their calls and attract females, proof that in nature's beauty contests, bigger really is sometimes better. Along this river, pygmy elephants, the smallest elephant subspecies in the world, wade through the shallows, while saltwater crocodiles lurk in the muddy waters, some growing to over 20 feet long. Fact 21. Malaysia is home to the world's largest cave chamber by area, the Sarawak Chamber in Gunung Mulu National Park. This colossal underground space could comfortably fit 40 Boeing 747 aircraft inside it. Discovered only in 1981 by British cavers, the chamber measures roughly 2,300 feet long, 1,300 feet wide, and at least 300 feet high. Standing inside it, your voice disappears into the darkness, swallowed by a silence so profound it feels ancient. Millions of bats call this cave system home, pouring out at dusk in ribbons that darken the sky for over an hour. Fact 22. The limestone caves of Malaysia contain more than just empty space. They hold evidence of human habitation stretching back 40,000 years. In Nia Cave, archaeologists discovered a human skull dating to approximately 37,000 BCE, making it one of the oldest modern human remains found in Southeast Asia. These early Malaysians painted their stories on cave walls, hunted with stone tools, and buried their dead with ceremony, leaving behind mysteries carved in stone and ochre. Fact 23. Borneo's caves shelter another ancient mystery, the swiftlet, a small bird that navigates in complete darkness using echolocation, much like bats. These birds build nests entirely from their own saliva, which hardens into delicate, translucent cups attached to cave ceilings. These nests are the key ingredient in Chinese bird's nest soup, considered a delicacy for over 400 years. A kilogram of premium white nests can sell for over $10,000, making them one of the most expensive foods by weight in the world. Nest collectors scale bamboo poles hundreds of feet high in pitch darkness, their lives depending on skill passed down through generations. Fact 24. Above ground, Malaysia's rainforests harbor over 14,500 species of flowering plants. Among them is the world's tallest tropical tree species, the yellow marantai, or Sharia fagetiana. In 2019, researchers discovered a specimen in Sabah's Dainam Valley that stands 330 feet tall, roughly equivalent to a 30-story building. Climbing to its crown requires days of work, ascending through distinct ecological zones where different species thrive at different heights, each layer a world unto itself. Fact 25. These forests exist because of rain, extraordinary amounts of it. Malaysia receives between 2,000 and 2,500 millimeters of rainfall annually, with some mountainous regions seeing over 5,000 millimeters. That's nearly 17 feet of rain each year. The rain doesn't fall evenly, though. Afternoon thunderstorms arrive with clockwork regularity, announced by towering cumulus clouds that build throughout the morning. Within minutes, roads become rivers, and the temperature drops by 10 degrees. Then, just as suddenly, the sun returns, and steam rises from the pavement like the earth is breathing. Fact 26. This abundance of water feeds over 150 major rivers flowing through Malaysia. The longest, the Rajang River in Sarawak, stretches 350 miles from the mountains to the sea. For centuries, these rivers served as the only highways through the jungle. Even today, many indigenous communities in Sarawak and Sabah rely on longboats for transportation, their motors whining against the current as they navigate rapids and fallen trees. River trade routes established 1,000 years ago still function, now carrying modern goods alongside traditional items like rattan, jungle fruits, and medicinal plants. Fact 27. Where rivers meet the sea, Malaysia's coastline transforms into mangrove forests, dense tangles of trees that grow with their roots in salt water. Malaysia contains some of Southeast Asia's most extensive mangrove systems, covering roughly 600,000 hectares. These aren't wastelands, but nurseries for ocean life. Juvenile fish, shrimp, and crabs shelter among the roots, while proboscis monkeys leap between branches overhead, and mudskippers, fish that can breathe air and walk on land using their fins, patrol the mudflats at low tide. Fact 28. Beyond the mangroves lie Malaysia's coral reefs, underwater gardens that rival the rainforests in biodiversity. Sipadan Island, off the coast of Sabah, is considered one of the world's best diving sites. Jacques Cousteau called it an untouched piece of art, and the waters around this small volcanic island teem with green and hawksbill turtles, barracuda, reef sharks, and over 3,000 species of fish. The island's walls drop vertically into an abyss over 2,000 feet deep. Swimming along this precipice, you hover between two infinities, the reef teeming with life on one side, the void on the other. Fact 29. Malaysia's relationship with the sea extends beyond tourism and fishing. The Bajau people, sometimes called sea gypsies, have lived along the coasts of Borneo for centuries, traditionally spending most of their lives on boats. Children learn to swim before they walk. Bajau freedivers can descend to depths of over 230 feet on a single breath, staying underwater for up to 13 minutes. Scientists have discovered that the Bajau have evolved larger spleens than other populations, allowing them to store more oxygenated blood, a genetic adaptation to their aquatic lifestyle developed over thousands of years. Fact 30. Yet the sea holds danger too. Malaysia's waters are home to the box jellyfish, one of the world's most venomous creatures. Its transparent bell and trailing tentacles make it nearly invisible in the water. Each tentacle contains thousands of cnidocytes, spring-loaded stinging cells that can inject venom in less than a millisecond. A severe sting can cause cardiac arrest within minutes. Despite this threat, Malaysians have lived alongside these creatures for generations, learning the seasons when they appear and the beaches to avoid, respecting the ocean's beauty while never forgetting its power. Dawn breaks over the Malaysian highlands, where mountains pierce the clouds and the air carries a coolness rarely felt in the tropical lowlands. Up here, tea plantations cascade down hillsides in geometric patterns, and morning mist clings to valleys like a living thing. This is a different Malaysia, cooler, quieter, where the pace of life slows to match the gentle rhythm of leaves rustling in mountain breezes. Dawn breaks over the Malaysian highlands, where mountains pierce the clouds and the air carries a coolness rarely felt in the tropical lowlands. Up here, tea plantations cascade down hillsides in geometric patterns, and morning mist clings to valleys like a living thing. This is a different Malaysia, cooler, quieter, where the pace of life slows to match the gentle rhythm of leaves rustling in mountain breezes. Fact 31. The Cameron Highlands, located about 5,000 feet above sea level, became Malaysia's premier hill station during British colonial rule. The cooler climate, with temperatures ranging from 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, offered respite from the lowland heat. Today, these highlands produce much of Malaysia's tea, with plantations like the Bo Tea Estate cultivating leaves on slopes so steep that workers must tie themselves to posts while harvesting. The estate, established in 1929, remains one of the largest tea producers in Southeast Asia, its gardens yielding millions of kilograms of tea annually that are sipped in cups from Kuala Lumpur to London. Fact 32. Rising even higher is Mount Kinabalu, Borneo's tallest peak and one of the highest mountains in Southeast Asia at 13,435 feet. The mountain is sacred to the Kadazandusan people, who believe it is the resting place of spirits of the departed. Its name may derive from Akinabalu, meaning the revered place of the dead. Every year, thousands of climbers make the 2-day ascent, starting in tropical rainforest and ending above the tree line on bare granite, watching the sunrise illuminate the South China Sea far below. The mountain is so biodiverse that it hosts over 6,000 plant species, including 1,500 species of orchids and numerous carnivorous pitcher plants found nowhere else on Earth. Fact 33. Those pitcher plants represent one of nature's most ingenious adaptations. Nepenthes species in Malaysia have evolved into living traps. Their modified leaves form deep cups filled with digestive fluid. Insects attracted by nectar slip on the waxy rim and tumble inside, where they're slowly dissolved and absorbed. The largest species, Nepenthes raja, grows pitchers big enough to trap rats, frogs, and even small birds. Some pitcher plants have formed symbiotic relationships with tree shrews and mountain rats, which feed on nectar at the pitcher's rim while defecating into the cup. The plant absorbs nutrients from the droppings, creating a natural toilet that benefits both species. Fact 34. Malaysia's mountains also shelter one of the world's rarest and most mysterious flowers, the Rothschild's slipper orchid, found only in the forests of Mount Kinabalu. With elegant petals striped in burgundy and green, a single stem can command prices of up to $5,000 on the black market. So valuable and so endangered, it's illegal to pick or export them. Armed guards once protected wild populations from poachers. The orchid can take up to 15 years to bloom for the first time, a patient beauty that rewards those willing to wait. Fact 35. The highlands aren't the only place where Malaysia reaches skyward. In the lowlands, the nation has embraced vertical growth through its cities. Kuala Lumpur's skyline bristles with high-rises, but none captures the imagination quite like the Petronas Tower's Sky Bridge. This double-decker bridge connecting the towers at the 41st and 42nd floors isn't rigidly attached. It sits on ball bearings and can slide in and out to accommodate the building's independent movements as they sway in the wind. Engineers designed it this way because trying to join the towers rigidly would create structural stress that could crack the bridge apart. It's a metaphor for Malaysia itself, separate parts moving independently while remaining connected. Fact 36. Malaysia's architectural ambitions extend beyond skyscrapers. The Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Aziz Mosque in Shah Alam, completed in 1988, features the world's largest religious dome at 351 feet in diameter and 4 minarets that rise 465 feet high, making them among the tallest in the world. The dome's brilliant blue color, decorated with Arabic calligraphy, can be seen from miles away. Inside, the prayer hall can accommodate 24,000 worshippers, while the surrounding grounds hold another 120,000. During Friday prayers, the mosque becomes a sea of white prayer caps and flowing robes, voices rising in unison as the call to prayer echoes across the city. Fact 37. Yet for all its modernity, Malaysia preserves architecture from centuries past. The city of Malacca, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, showcases layer upon layer of colonial influence. Portuguese fortifications from the 1500s stand near Dutch administrative buildings from the 1600s, which neighbor British mansions from the 1800s. Walking through Malacca's old town is like traversing a living museum where Peranakan shop houses, narrow buildings with ornate facades, line streets that have witnessed 500 years of trade, war, and cultural exchange. These shop houses, built by Chinese immigrants who married local Malays, feature a unique architectural style that blends Chinese, Malay, and European elements into something entirely new. Fact 38. The Peranakan culture itself represents one of Malaysia's most fascinating cultural fusions. Also called Straits Chinese or Babanionia, these descendants of Chinese traders who settled in Malacca, Penang, and Singapore between the 15th and 17th centuries created a distinct hybrid culture. They spoke a Creole mixing Malay and Chinese dialects, wore clothing that combined Chinese silk with Malay sarongs, and developed a cuisine that remains one of Asia's most complex and flavorful. Dishes like ayam pongth and babi pongth require hours of preparation, layering Chinese cooking techniques with Malay spices and Indonesian palm sugar to create flavors that defy easy categorization. Fact 39. Penang, an island off Malaysia's northwest coast, has become famous as one of Asia's food capitals, particularly for its street food. Georgetown, the capital, holds UNESCO World Heritage status partly due to its extraordinary culinary scene. Here, families have operated the same food stalls for 3 or 4 generations, perfecting single dishes to an art form. Char kway teow, flat rice noodles stir-fried over searingly high heat with shrimp, egg, bean sprouts, and chives, varies from stall to stall, with locals fiercely loyal to their favorite vendor. Some hawkers have waiting lists, and people plan their day around when certain stalls open. Fact 40. This dedication to craft extends beyond food. Malaysia has a long tradition of artisanship, particularly in textiles. Batik, the art of wax-resist dyeing on fabric, has been practiced in Malaysia for centuries. Artisans draw intricate patterns on cloth using a chanting, a small copper tool with a spout, filling it with hot wax and carefully tracing designs before dyeing the fabric. The wax protects certain areas from the dye, creating patterns that can involve dozens of steps and multiple colors. Traditional Malaysian batik often features local motifs, tropical flowers, birds, and geometric Islamic patterns that reflect the nation's artistic heritage. Each piece tells a story, colors and shapes flowing across fabric like visual poetry, wearable art that carries tradition into the modern world. As afternoon settles over Malaysia, markets bustle, children head home from school, and kitchens begin preparing evening meals, revealing the nation's enduring rhythm of culture, commerce, and community. Fact 41. Education holds a place of profound importance in Malaysian society, with the country achieving a literacy rate of over 95%. The education system reflects the nation's multicultural nature through vernacular schools, where students can receive instruction in Malay, Mandarin, or Tamil while also learning the national language. This approach, rare in the world, allows children to maintain their mother tongue while becoming fluent in multiple languages. By the time many Malaysians reach adulthood, they can seamlessly switch between 3 or 4 languages depending on context, speaking Mandarin at home, Malay at government offices, English at work, and perhaps Hokkien or Tamil with friends. Fact 42. This multilingualism has given birth to a uniquely Malaysian phenomenon called Manglish, Malaysian English. It's not broken English but rather a creative linguistic fusion that borrows grammar structures from Malay and Chinese while using English vocabulary. Sentences end with la, la, or lor for emphasis or tone. Can or not becomes a question. Already moves to unexpected places in sentences. I go paser by fish already la makes perfect sense to any Malaysian, conveying not just information but attitude, familiarity, and cultural identity in a way that standard English never could. Fact 43. Language connects to another uniquely Malaysian concept, gotong royong, a Malay term describing communal cooperation and mutual assistance. This tradition of neighbors helping neighbors runs deep in Malaysian culture. When someone needs to repair a home, move belongings, or prepare for a wedding, the community comes together without expectation of payment. It's an ancient social contract that predates modern Malaysia, rooted in kampong, village, life, where survival often depended on collective effort. Even in modern cities, gotong royong survives, a reminder that prosperity means little if it isn't shared. Fact 44. Malaysia's concept of time itself differs from Western notions of punctuality. Rubber time or jam karat, borrowed from Indonesian, describes a more flexible approach to scheduling. When someone says an event starts at 7 p.m., insiders know it likely means 7:30 or 8. This isn't rudeness but a different cultural value system that prioritizes relationships over rigid schedules. Rushing to finish a conversation with an elder to make an appointment on time would be considered far ruder than arriving late. Time bends around human connections, not the other way around. Fact 45. These human connections often form around food, and few meals are more communal than a traditional Malaysian steamboat. Also called hot pot, this dining experience involves a simmering pot of broth at the table center, surrounded by plates of raw ingredients, thinly sliced meats, seafood, vegetables, noodles, and dumplings. Diners cook their own selections in the communal broth, which grows richer and more complex with each addition. The meal can last for hours, conversation flowing as freely as the broth bubbles. Its cooking is social bonding, eating is collective experience, a meal where the journey matters more than the destination. Fact 46. Malaysia's relationship with time extends to its calendar, which recognizes multiple New Year celebrations. The Gregorian New Year arrives on January 1st, but Chinese New Year, based on the lunar calendar and falling between late January and mid-February, sees the most elaborate celebrations. Cities empty as people return to their hometowns in an annual migration called Balik Kampung. Millions travel at once, turning highways into parking lots and filling buses and trains beyond capacity. It's the world's largest regular human migration after China's Spring Festival, a testament to how deeply family ties run in Malaysian culture. Fact 47. During Chinese New Year, on POWs, red envelopes containing money, pass from married couples to unmarried people and from elders to children. But the amount inside matters less than the gesture. Even a few ringgit given with good wishes carries weight. The red color symbolizes luck and wards off evil spirits. Families clean their homes thoroughly before the new year, symbolically sweeping away bad fortune to make room for good. Certain words become taboo: never say death, sick, or break, while others are repeated endlessly: prosperity, luck, health, happiness. Language becomes incantation, words wielding power over fate. Fact 48. Another major celebration, Hari Raya Eid al-Fitr, marks the end of Ramadan, the Islamic holy month of fasting. For 30 days, Muslims abstain from food and drink from dawn until sunset, a practice that brings spiritual reflection and physical discipline. When Ramadan ends, Hari Raya explodes with joy. Families wear new clothes, traditionally in matching colors. Homes open for visitors, tables groaning under the weight of rendang, beef slow-cooked in coconut milk and spices until it's almost caramelized, ketupat rice cakes, and dozens of cookies and sweets. The tradition of Maaf Zahir Dan Batin, asking for forgiveness for any wrongs committed during the past year, cleanses relationships, allowing everyone to begin anew. Fact 49. Food plays such a central role in Malaysian culture that the question "have you eaten?" serves as a standard greeting, equivalent to "how are you?" The question isn't small talk but genuine concern for another's well-being. Invitations to eat together forge and strengthen bonds. Refusing food can seem like rejecting friendship. This explains why Malaysian gatherings always feature far more food than anyone could possibly consume. Abundance signals generosity, and generosity signals love. Sending guests home with takeaway packages isn't just polite, it's expected, extending the meal's warmth beyond the moment. Fact 50. The Malaysian concept of makan angin, literally eating wind, describes taking a leisure trip or excursion. It beautifully captures the Malaysian attitude toward travel, not as achievement-oriented tourism but as soul-nourishing experience. Whether driving to a beach town, visiting a highland resort, or simply walking through a park, makan angin means stepping away from routine to breathe different air, see different views, and return refreshed. It's travel as sustenance, journey as feast, movement as meditation. In a nation where food metaphors saturate language, even the wind becomes something to consume, to savor, to share with those you love. As evening falls over Malaysia, neon lights glow, night markets come alive, and cooler breezes carry floral and savory scents. It's a time when tradition and modern life blend beneath the stars. Fact 51. Malaysia's night markets, called pasar malam, are institutions that have existed for centuries. These temporary bazaars pop up on different nights in different neighborhoods, following weekly rotations that locals know by heart. Vendors arrive in trucks and vans around 4 p.m., transforming empty streets into labyrinths of stalls selling everything imaginable: clothes, toys, household goods, and most importantly, food. The air becomes thick with smoke from grills cooking satay, skewers of marinated meat charred over coconut husk coals. Each stick costs only a ringgit or two, but people buy them by the dozen, dipping them in peanut sauce so rich it coats your tongue. These markets aren't just shopping venues but social institutions, places where communities gather, gossip flows, and the pulse of neighborhood life beats strongest. Fact 52. The night also brings out Malaysia's incredible biodiversity in unexpected ways. Fireflies, known as kalip-kalip in Malay, congregate along certain riverbanks in synchronized displays that seem almost magical. Along the Selangor River near Kuala Selangor, thousands of fireflies gather in specific trees, flashing in perfect unison like biological Christmas lights. Scientists believe males synchronize their flashing to attract females, creating waves of light that pulse through the darkness. Boat tours glide silently past these trees, passengers whispering in awe as entire riverbanks sparkle and dim, a light show that has continued every night for thousands of years, unchanged by human progress. Fact 53. Malaysia's night skies hold another wonder. Relatively little light pollution in rural areas means the Milky Way stretches across the heavens like a river of stars. Indigenous communities have navigated by these stars for millennia, their knowledge passed down through oral traditions and practical experience. The Jokkan people of peninsular Malaysia recognized constellations invisible to Western astronomy, seeing in the stars stories of ancestors, animals, and lessons about proper behavior. They could predict seasons, navigate through dense jungle, and tell time at night, all by reading the sky as if it were an enormous clock and calendar combined. Fact 54. Speaking of indigenous peoples, Malaysia is home to numerous Orang Asli groups, the original inhabitants of peninsular Malaysia. The term Orang Asli means original people, though it encompasses many distinct ethnic groups with different languages, customs, and traditions. Some, like the Batek, maintain semi-nomadic lifestyles in the rainforest, hunting with blowpipes and gathering forest products. They possess encyclopedic knowledge of plants, which heal, which poison, which provide food. A single Batek elder might know medicinal uses for over 300 plant species, information carried in memory rather than books, knowledge that pharmaceutical companies have tried to learn and patent, raising complex questions about intellectual property and indigenous rights. Fact 55. The rainforest holds another secret closely guarded by indigenous knowledge, the tualang tree, which can grow over 250 feet tall with a trunk 8 feet in diameter. These giants serve as homes to enormous colonies of Asian giant honeybees. The bees build their combs on the underside of high branches, sometimes dozens of combs on a single tree. Traditional honey hunters from the Penin and other indigenous groups scale these trees using rattan loops and wooden pegs, working at night when bees are less active, singing songs to appease the bees' spirits. The honey they harvest, dark, thick, and intensely flavored, can sell for premium prices, but the practice requires courage, skill, and spiritual preparation that takes years to master. Fact 56. Malaysia's jungles buzz with more than just honeybees. The country hosts over 1,000 species of butterflies, some sporting wingspans wider than a human hand. The Raja Brooks birdwing, Borneo's largest butterfly, displays wings of iridescent green and black that catch light like stained glass. Males gather at riverbanks to drink mineral-rich water, creating colorful congregations called mud puddling. These butterflies, like so many Malaysian species, live short lives, just a few weeks as adults after spending months as caterpillars. They remind us that beauty and transience often walk hand in hand, that something need not last forever to matter deeply. Fact 57. The concept of impermanence appears throughout Malaysian culture, particularly in traditional shadow puppet theater called wayang kulit. Puppet masters manipulate intricately carved leather puppets behind a backlit screen, creating shadows that tell stories from Hindu epics like the Ramayana or local folklore. The puppeteer voices all characters, sings, narrates, and conducts the accompanying gamelan orchestra, a one-person virtuoso performance that can last all night. Traditionally performed during weddings, harvest celebrations, or religious ceremonies, wayang kulit has declined in popularity with younger generations. Yet masters of the art still practice, keeping alive a tradition that predates modern Malaysia by centuries, shadows dancing stories that have outlived kingdoms. Fact 58. Music flows through Malaysian culture in diverse streams. The gamelan ensemble, with its bronze gongs and metallophones, creates shimmering cascades of sound used in traditional ceremonies. The Chinese community maintains opera traditions, while Indian Malaysians keep alive Carnatic and Hindustani classical music. But Malaysia has also birthed contemporary sounds, P. Ram Lee, a singer and actor from the 1950s and 60s, remains beloved for songs that blended Malay melodies with jazz and Latin influences. His films and music defined an era, and even today, elderly Malaysians can sing his lyrics by heart, their voices carrying across decades, nostalgia made audible. Fact 59. Modern Malaysian music has found global audiences too. Yuna, a Malaysian singer-songwriter, wears a hijab while performing internationally, proving that modesty and modern pop music aren't contradictory. Her success represents Malaysia's ability to navigate between tradition and contemporary culture, between religious values and artistic expression. She sings in both English and Malay, her voice bridging worlds, showing that identity isn't singular but layered, that you can honor where you come from while embracing where you're going. Fact 60. As midnight approaches, Malaysia's cities never truly sleep. Mamak stalls, Tamil Muslim restaurants, stay open 24 hours, their tables filled with late-night diners ordering roti canai, teh tarik, and nasi goreng. These establishments serve as democratic spaces where construction workers sit beside businessmen, students beside taxi drivers, everyone equal before plates of affordable food. The roti canai arrives crispy and flaky, the teh tarik, pulled tea, sweet and frothy, made by pouring the milky tea between two vessels held increasingly far apart, the stream of liquid cooling it while creating foam. Watching a skilled worker pull tea is like witnessing performance art, muscle memory made beautiful, tradition served in a glass. Late at night, as Malaysia sleeps, the jungle comes alive with cicadas, gibbons, and hidden nocturnal movement. Even in cities, nature quietly endures, reminding all that the wild still beats beneath the streets. Fact 61. Malaysia's cities harbor surprising wildlife, with troops of long-tailed macaques regularly raiding garbage bins and terrorizing unsuspecting tourists. These intelligent primates have learned to open backpacks, unscrew bottle caps, and even recognize which tourists are likely to have food. In places like Bata Caves, the monkeys have become so bold they'll snatch items right from people's hands. They're not being malicious, they've simply adapted to urban life with remarkable success. Some have learned to wash food in fountains before eating it, behavior passed down through generations, showing that culture isn't uniquely human but exists wherever animals learn from each other. Fact 62. Far more elusive than macaques are the clouded leopards that still prowl Borneo's forests. These medium-sized cats possess the longest canine teeth relative to body size of any living cat species. Their fangs can reach 2 inches long. They're also among the most skilled climbers, able to descend trees headfirst and hang from branches using only their hind feet. Their cloud-like coat patterns give them their name, providing camouflage in dappled forest light. So secretive are these cats that scientists know relatively little about their behavior in the wild. Camera traps occasionally capture their image, yellow eyes glowing in infrared, muscular bodies flowing through darkness, but mostly they remain ghosts, whispers, legends glimpsed and then gone. Fact 63. Malaysia's forests also shelter the binturong, a creature so unusual it defies easy categorization. Related to civets, binturongs look like small bears with long, prehensile tails they use like a fifth limb while climbing. But their most remarkable feature is their scent. Binturongs smell distinctly like buttered popcorn. The odor comes from a chemical compound in their scent glands that's identical to the compound that gives popcorn its aroma. Why evolution created an animal that smells like movie theater snacks remains a mystery, but walking through the forest and suddenly catching that buttery scent means a binturong is nearby, somewhere in the canopy above, watching with curious eyes. Fact 64. Speaking of unusual animals, Malaysia is home to the kalugo, also called the flying lemur, though it neither flies nor is a lemur. Kalugo glide between trees using a membrane of skin that stretches from their neck to their fingertips to their tail. When spread, this membrane can be as large as a beach towel, allowing them to glide over 200 feet between trees while losing minimal altitude. They're almost helpless on the ground, their limbs adapted for climbing and gliding rather than walking. Mothers carry their young folded into their gliding membrane like a living hammock, the baby riding along on aerial journeys through the forest canopy. Fact 65. Malaysia's wildlife includes over 200 species of frogs, many found nowhere else on Earth. The Bornean flat-headed frog has evolved an almost entirely flat body that allows it to squeeze into cracks between rocks and fast-flowing streams. It has no lungs. Instead, it breathes entirely through its skin, an adaptation to cold, oxygen-rich mountain streams. Even more remarkable, this frog's tadpoles don't swim in open water but cling to rocks using sucker-like mouths, scraping algae while resisting currents that would sweep less specialized creatures away. It's a reminder that evolution solves problems in infinite ways, that success takes countless forms. Fact 66. The Malayan sun bear, the world's smallest bear species, wanders Malaysia's forests searching for honey, insects, and fruit. Standing only about 4 feet tall, these bears possess extraordinarily long tongues, up to 10 inches, perfect for extracting honey from hives and insects from crevices. They're excellent climbers, sometimes building sleeping platforms in trees. The Malaysian name for them, Beruang Madu, means honey bear, reflecting their favorite food. Despite their small size and somewhat comical appearance, they're powerful animals with strong jaws and long claws. Indigenous people respect them, knowing that surprising a sun bear can be dangerous, that cuteness and danger often share the same face. Fact 67. Malaysia's relationship with wildlife extends to conservation efforts that have become increasingly urgent. The Malayan tiger, found only in peninsular Malaysia, has seen its population crash to fewer than 150 individuals in the wild. Poaching, habitat loss, and depletion of prey species have pushed this apex predator to the brink of extinction. Camera trap surveys reveal the crisis, where tigers should appear regularly, sometimes months pass between sightings. Conservation groups work desperately to protect remaining populations, but time is running out. If current trends continue, Malaysia may lose its national animal within a generation, the roar that has echoed through these forests for thousands of years falling silent forever. Fact 68. Yet hope persists in unexpected places. The Malayan tapir, a black and white creature that looks like nature's patchwork experiment, has fared slightly better. These odd-toed ungulates are the only tapir species in Asia, their closest relatives living in Central and South America, a distribution pattern that puzzled scientists until they understood continental drift and ancient migration patterns. Baby tapirs are born with striped and spotted coats that provide camouflage, only developing their distinctive two-toned adult coloration after several months. Despite their bulk, adults can weigh 700 pounds. Tapirs move through forests with surprising stealth, their flexible snouts probing the ground for fallen fruit and tender shoots. Fact 69. Malaysia has established a network of national parks and wildlife reserves covering roughly 20% of the country's land area. Taman Negara, established in 1938, protects one of the world's oldest deciduous rainforests. Within its boundaries, ecosystems function much as they have for millions of years, plants growing, animals hunting, everything cycling through birth and death and rebirth. Walking the canopy walkway suspended 130 feet above the forest floor, you become eye level with hornbills and flying squirrels, seeing the forest as they see it. The walkway sways gently with your weight in the wind, reminding you that you're not meant to be here, that you're borrowing a view from creatures who own the heights. Fact 70. The night slowly gives way to pre-dawn twilight, that liminal hour when darkness reluctantly releases its grip on the world. This is when Malaysia's most spectacular birds announce the day. Hornbills, with their enormous casqued bills, boom out calls that carry for miles. The helmeted hornbill's call sounds like maniacal laughter echoing through the forest. These birds are keystone species, spreading seeds from fruits that only they can swallow whole. Some hornbill species engage in remarkable nesting behavior, the female seals herself inside a tree cavity using mud and feces, leaving only a narrow slit through which the male feeds her and the chicks for months. It's an extraordinary commitment, a trust between mates that's literally life and death, partnership made manifest in mud and devotion. At dawn, Malaysia's eastern coast glows as fishermen work the South China Sea, their boats silhouetted against the sunrise, a timeless rhythm that has sustained coastal life for centuries. Fact 71. Malaysia's fishing industry remains vital to both economy and culture, with over 150,000 people directly employed in fishing and aquaculture. The waters surrounding Malaysia teem with life. Over 1,500 species of fish inhabit these seas. Traditional fishing methods persist alongside modern techniques. Some fishermen still use kalong, elaborate wooden trap structures built in coastal shallows. Fish swim into these mazes with the incoming tide and become trapped when the water recedes. Kalongs can span hundreds of meters and last for years, serving as both fishing equipment and offshore shelters where fishermen sleep between tides, rocked by waves, surrounded by the breathing ocean. Fact 72. The morning catch often includes anchovies, called ikan bilis in Malay, which form massive schools in Malaysian waters. These tiny silver fish are more than just seafood, they're a cornerstone of Malaysian cuisine. Dried and fried until crispy, they're served with nasi lemak, added to sambal, or eaten as crunchy snacks. Processing anchovies is labor-intensive work typically done by women in coastal villages. They sort the catch by size, clean them, and lay them on racks to dry under the intense tropical sun. The smell of drying fish permeates these villages, pungent, unmistakable, the scent of livelihood and tradition combined. Fact 73. Malaysia's coastline stretches over 4,600 kilometers, encompassing everything from rocky cliffs to mangrove swamps to pristine white sand beaches. The country's islands draw tourists from around the world: Langkawi, Perhentian, Tioman, Renong, each with its own character. Langkawi, in the northwest, consists of 99 islands shrouded in legends. One tells of Masuri, a beautiful woman falsely accused of adultery and executed, who cursed the island for 7 generations before dying. Whether due to curse or coincidence, Langkawi remained undeveloped for centuries. Only in recent decades has it transformed into a resort destination, its duty-free status and stunning beaches attracting millions of visitors annually. Fact 74. Beneath Malaysia's coastal waters lies an often overlooked ecosystem: seagrass meadows. These underwater flowering plants provide nursery habitat for countless fish species, stabilize sediments, and absorb carbon dioxide at rates far exceeding tropical rainforests. Dugongs, gentle marine mammals related to manatees, graze these seagrass beds like underwater cows. Malaysia hosts one of Southeast Asia's largest remaining dugong populations, though numbers have declined dramatically. These creatures, which may have inspired ancient sailors' mermaid legends, grow up to 10 feet long and can live 70 years. They're shy, surfacing briefly to breathe before submerging again, leaving barely a ripple to mark their passage. Fact 75. The connection between land and sea becomes most visible in Malaysia's tidal patterns. The country experiences semi-diurnal tides, 2 high tides and 2 low tides each day, driven by the moon's gravitational pull. During extreme low tides, entire ecosystems briefly surface. Rocky shores reveal tide pools teeming with anemones, crabs, and small fish trapped until the water returns. Local people wade into the shallows collecting clams, mussels, and sea cucumbers, their knowledge of tides and seasons passed down through generations. They know which moon phases bring the lowest tides, which rocks hide the best shellfish, which creatures are safe to eat and which cause sickness. Fact 76. As morning fully arrives, Malaysia's markets explode with activity. Wet markets, so called because water constantly flows across floors to wash away fish scales and vegetable scraps, become theaters of commerce and social interaction. Vendors shout prices, customers haggle with practiced skill, and the air fills with a complex blend of smells: fresh coriander, live fish in oxygenated tanks, raw chicken, tropical fruits so ripe they're almost fermenting. These markets operate on different logic than supermarkets. Nothing comes prepackaged. Fish are selected live and cleaned on the spot. Chickens are chosen from cages and butchered to order. It's food shopping as intimate transaction, where you see exactly what you're buying and develop relationships with the people who sell it to you. Fact 77. In these markets, you'll find durian, the notorious king of fruits that provokes extreme reactions. Encased in a spiky, weapon-like shell, durian flesh is creamy, custard-like, and intensely flavored. Some describe it as heaven, rich, sweet, complex, unlike anything else. Others compare it to rotten onions or garbage. Its smell is so powerful that durian is banned in hotels, public transportation, and many buildings across Malaysia. Yet Malaysians queue for hours during durian season, paying premium prices for specific varieties like Musang King or Blackthorn. Eating durian becomes a social event, families gathering to crack open the fruits, comparing flavors, debating which type is superior, fingers sticky with golden flesh. Fact 78. The durian season showcases Malaysia's incredible fruit diversity. Beyond durian, markets overflow with rambutans, hairy red fruits with translucent white flesh, mangosteens with purple skin and snowy segments that taste like tropical clouds, langsat with its grape-like clusters, and sempedak, a relative of jackfruit with an intoxicating aroma. Many of these fruits remain unknown outside Southeast Asia, too delicate to ship long distances, their fleeting seasons making them all the more precious. There's a word in Malay, buah-buahan tempatan, meaning local fruits, spoken with pride because these are flavors that belong specifically to this place, this climate, this soil. Fact 79. Malaysia's agricultural diversity extends beyond fruit. The country is the world's second-largest producer of palm oil, but it also cultivates rubber, cocoa, pepper, and rice. Rubber plantations, remnants of the colonial era when Malaysia supplied much of the world's rubber, still cover significant areas. Rubber tappers begin work before dawn, making diagonal cuts in tree bark and collecting the latex that weeps into small cups. It's skilled work requiring a delicate touch. Cut too deep and you damage the tree, too shallow and the latex doesn't flow. Many tappers are elderly now, their children having moved to cities for different work. As they age, a way of life ages with them, knowledge literally walking out of the forest. Fact 80. Rice paddies paint Malaysia's rural landscapes in shades of green, particularly in the northern states. The Bujang Valley in Kedah contains over 50 ancient temple ruins, evidence that organized rice cultivation here dates back 1,500 years. Rice isn't just a crop but a cultural touchstone. Traditional planting and harvesting rituals invoke spirits and ancestors, asking for good yields. The Kadazandusan people of Sabah celebrate the Pesta Kamatan harvest festival with ceremonies, dances, and offerings to Bambasan, the rice spirit. Even as Malaysia modernizes and imports rice to feed its population, these rituals persist, acknowledging that food comes not from supermarkets but from soil, sun, water, and the labor of hands that plant and harvest under the same sky that sheltered their ancestors. By mid-morning, Malaysia settles into a steady rhythm as schools and offices hum and the heat rises, revealing a nation balancing modern progress with tradition. Fact 81. Malaysia's economy has transformed dramatically since independence. In 1957, the country relied heavily on tin mining and rubber plantations. Today, it's one of the world's leading exporters of electronic components, with semiconductors and electronics accounting for roughly 40% of exports. Major tech companies including Intel, AMD, and Infineon operate manufacturing facilities here, attracted by skilled labor, political stability, and strategic location. Penang, once known primarily for its beaches and food, has become the Silicon Valley of the East, its industrial parks filled with clean rooms where computer chips are tested and assembled with microscopic precision. Fact 82. This economic success has created a substantial middle class and lifted millions out of poverty, but it has also generated inequality. The gap between urban and rural areas remains significant. In Kuala Lumpur, gleaming condominiums sell for millions of ringgit, while in rural Sabah or Sarawak, some communities still lack consistent electricity or running water. The government's challenge, balancing development that reaches all Malaysians while managing resources sustainably, defines much of contemporary Malaysian politics. Programs like One Malaysia have attempted to foster unity and shared prosperity, though debates about wealth distribution, racial quotas, and development priorities remain contentious. Fact 83. Malaysia's political system is a constitutional monarchy with a parliamentary democracy, a unique arrangement that blends British Westminster traditions with local royal institutions. The country has 13 states, 9 ruled by hereditary sultans who take turns serving as the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. The role is largely ceremonial, similar to constitutional monarchies elsewhere, but the king does retain some discretionary powers. This system has provided stability through decades of development, though Malaysian politics can be complex, with coalition governments, party switching, and periodic political drama that keeps news cycles busy and coffee shop conversations animated. Fact 84. One of Malaysia's most successful policies has been its commitment to healthcare accessibility. The country operates a two-tier system with both public and private healthcare. Public hospitals provide subsidized care. A Malaysian citizen can receive treatment for just a few ringgit, sometimes free for serious conditions. This has resulted in health outcomes that rival much wealthier nations. Life expectancy in Malaysia now exceeds 76 years, and infant mortality rates have plummeted from 75 deaths per 1,000 births in 1957 to fewer than 7 today. It's a quiet success story, lives saved not through dramatic interventions but through consistent, accessible healthcare that reaches even remote communities. Fact 85. Traditional medicine coexists with modern healthcare throughout Malaysia. Bomo practitioners, traditional healers who use herbs, massage, and spiritual rituals, still treat patients, particularly in rural areas. Chinese medicine shops line city streets, their windows displaying jars of dried seahorses, ginseng roots, and mysterious barks and fungi. Indian Ayurvedic practitioners offer treatments based on balancing bodily humors. Many Malaysians move fluidly between systems, seeing a doctor for antibiotics while also visiting a traditional healer for massage or herbs. This medical pluralism reflects a pragmatic approach: use what works, blend traditions, stay open to multiple ways of understanding the body and healing it. Fact 86. Malaysia has also become a global hub for medical tourism, attracting over 1 million foreign patients annually. World-class hospitals offer procedures at a fraction of Western costs. A heart bypass that might cost $100,000 in the United States runs closer to $15,000 in Malaysia, performed by doctors often trained in the UK, Australia, or America. Patients from Indonesia, Singapore, and the Middle East particularly favor Malaysian hospitals, where language barriers are minimal and quality matches international standards. Some hospitals look more like luxury hotels than medical facilities, with marble lobbies, concierge services, and rooms featuring views of tropical gardens, transforming medical necessity into almost pleasant experience. Fact 87. Education has been another government priority, with Malaysia spending roughly 20% of its federal budget on schools and universities. The country has achieved near-universal primary education and has made higher education increasingly accessible. public universities charge minimal fees for Malaysian students, and scholarship programs help talented students regardless of economic background. This investment has created a highly educated workforce. Over 70% of young Malaysians complete secondary education. Yet the system faces challenges, particularly around language policy. Science and mathematics were briefly taught in English, then switched back to Malay, creating debate about how best to prepare students for a globalized economy while maintaining cultural identity. Fact 88. Malaysian universities produce graduates who often face a difficult choice: stay home or seek opportunities abroad. Brain drain sees talented Malaysians emigrating to Singapore, Australia, the UK, and elsewhere for higher salaries and perceived better opportunities. Estimates suggest over 1 million Malaysians live abroad, a significant number for a country of 33 million. This diaspora maintains strong ties to home. They return for holidays, send remittances, and many eventually come back, bringing skills and experiences gained overseas. They're ambassadors of Malaysian culture abroad, opening restaurants, forming communities, carrying with them the tastes, languages, and values of home. Fact 89. Among those who stay, entrepreneurship flourishes in unexpected ways. Malaysia has become a regional startup hub, particularly in fintech and e-commerce. Companies like Grab, the ride-hailing service, and Carsome, an online used car marketplace, have achieved unicorn status with valuations exceeding $1 billion. The government supports this through initiatives, tax incentives, and programs designed to foster innovation. Co-working spaces fill with young entrepreneurs hunched over laptops, drinking endless cups of coffee, building apps and platforms they hope will scale regionally or globally. It's a different Malaysia than their parents knew, one where success might come from code rather than commodities, from disrupting industries rather than working within established hierarchies. Fact 90. Despite modern life, Malaysia stays deeply tied to practices like pantang, a postpartum tradition still observed by women of all professions. By honoring these customs alongside modern medicine, Malaysia blends ancient wisdom with contemporary life. As we approach the final hours of our journey through Malaysia, the sun begins its descent toward the western horizon. Long shadows stretch across kampung houses and city streets alike. This is the golden hour, when light softens and the day's harsh edges blur into something gentler, more forgiving. It's a time for reflection, for gathering, for considering what has been and what might yet come. Fact 91. Malaysia's population is young and growing, with a median age of around 30 years. This youthful demographic brings energy, ambition, and change. Young Malaysians are more likely than their parents to question traditions, to push boundaries, to imagine different futures. They're digital natives, fluent in global culture through social media and streaming services. Yet many remain deeply rooted in local identities. They might listen to K-pop while eating nasi lemak, watch Netflix while speaking to family in dialect, navigate multiple worlds simultaneously. This generation will determine what Malaysia becomes, whether it leans more toward global homogeneity or finds ways to remain distinctly Malaysian while engaging with the world. Fact 92. The arts scene in Malaysia has flourished in recent decades, with contemporary artists gaining international recognition. Painters, sculptors, and installation artists explore themes of identity, colonialism, multiculturalism, and environmental change. The National Art Gallery in Kuala Lumpur showcases both traditional and contemporary works, while smaller galleries and art spaces have proliferated in cities nationwide. Malaysian cinema has also gained prominence, with films like Ola Bola and Bunahan winning awards and critical acclaim. These works often grapple with what it means to be Malaysian, the tensions, beauties, contradictions, and possibilities embedded in that identity. Fact 93. Malaysian literature, written in Malay, English, Chinese, and Tamil, tells stories that are increasingly finding global audiences. Writers like Tasha and Tan Twanning have won major international literary prizes, their novels exploring Malaysian history, family dynamics, and cultural complexity. These works offer windows into Malaysian experience that statistics and news reports cannot capture: the texture of daily life, the weight of historical memory, the ways people love and hurt and hope across cultural divides. Literature preserves voices that might otherwise be lost, giving permanence to fleeting moments, turning individual experience into shared heritage. Fact 94. Sports unite Malaysians in ways that transcend ethnic and religious differences. Badminton reigns as the national obsession, with Malaysian players consistently ranking among the world's best. Lee Chong Wei, who retired in 2019, became a national hero despite never winning Olympic gold. His 3 silver medals and decades of excellence made him beloved across all communities. When he played, the country stopped. Mammoth stalls filled with people watching matches on television, strangers high-fiving after winning points, groaning collectively at losses. Sports offer a rare space where Malaysian identity supersedes all others, where everyone cheers for the same side. Fact 95. Football also commands passionate followings, though the national team has struggled to achieve international success. Malaysian football fans avidly follow European leagues, particularly the English Premier League. Weekend mornings see Manic stalls packed with supporters wearing team jerseys, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, watching matches broadcast live. These viewing sessions become communal experiences, fans from different backgrounds united by shared allegiances to clubs thousands of miles away. It speaks to Malaysia's global connections, how local identities coexist with international affinities, how people can feel deeply rooted in place while maintaining loyalties that span continents. Fact 96. Environmental challenges loom large in Malaysia's future. Deforestation, particularly for palm oil plantations, has destroyed vast areas of rainforest. Between 2001 and 2020, Malaysia lost nearly 20% of its tree cover, over 8 million hectares. This loss threatens biodiversity, contributes to climate change, and destroys habitats for endangered species. Haze from forest fires in Indonesia and occasionally from Malaysian agricultural burning blankets cities in acrid smoke some years, closing schools and airports. Young environmental activists increasingly demand action, protesting developments that threaten forests and rivers. They argue that Malaysia's rapid development shouldn't come at the cost of the natural heritage that makes the country unique. Fact 97. Climate change presents another existential challenge. Rising sea levels threaten coastal communities, while changing rainfall patterns affect agriculture and water supplies. Malaysia is committed to reducing carbon emissions and increasing renewable energy, but implementation remains uneven. Solar panels are becoming more common, and some states have invested in hydroelectric power, though environmental groups worry about dams' impacts on river ecosystems. The challenge is finding development paths that raise living standards without replicating the carbon-intensive growth models of earlier industrialized nations, charting new territory where sustainability and prosperity grow together rather than in opposition. Fact 98. Despite these challenges, Malaysia retains something precious, a model of multicultural coexistence that, while imperfect, functions better than in many places. Religious and ethnic tensions exist, sometimes erupting into conflict, yet catastrophic violence has been rare since the 1969 riots. the ability to maintain diverse communities living side by side, sharing public space while maintaining distinct identities, offers lessons for an increasingly polarized world. It's not paradise. Discrimination exists. Prejudices persist. Political manipulation of ethnic issues occurs. But daily life demonstrates that people of different backgrounds can share cities, schools, workplaces, and friendships without erasing their differences. The key isn't forced assimilation but negotiated coexistence, making room for multiple ways of being. Fact 99. As Malaysia moves forward, it carries all its contradictions with it, modern and traditional, religious and secular, urban and rural, unified and diverse. These tensions aren't problems to solve but conditions to navigate. The country's strength comes not from resolving contradictions but from learning to live with them, to find balance between competing values, to make space for multiple truths. Every day, millions of Malaysians perform this balancing act without thinking about it, code switching between languages, moving between cultural contexts, honoring traditions while embracing change. Fact 100. Perhaps the most important fact about Malaysia is one that numbers cannot capture: its spirit of resilience and adaptation. From ancient rainforests that have survived ice ages to coastal communities weathering storms, from indigenous peoples maintaining traditions while engaging modernity to immigrants building new lives while honoring ancestral cultures, Malaysia embodies survival through flexibility. The ability to bend without breaking, to incorporate new elements while retaining core identity, to change while remaining recognizable, this is Malaysia's deepest wisdom. As you drift towards sleep, remember this: Malaysia is not a fixed thing but a living story, written by millions of voices speaking dozens of languages, telling one tale that somehow contains multitudes. It's a story that continues tonight as fishermen cast nets into dark waters, as mammoth stalls serve late dinners, as fireflies pulse in riverside trees, as the country breathes through another night before waking to meet tomorrow with all its possibilities and challenges, ancient and young, remembered and imagined, always becoming, never quite arrived.